Hi everyone, I'm Tamara Matlabengla. I am the founder and chief content officer at Alaking Creatives. Welcome back to yet another episode of the 50 digital technology solutions that every business needs. And today I'm chatting with Tracy and Jason from Atari. Tracy, Jason, could you please introduce yourselves?
Hi everyone, my name is Jason. I'm a director and founder at Atari. I have a background as a chartered accountant and more recently moved into the technology sector for the last couple of years. Very passionate about technology and very passionate about making an impact at SMEs.
Hi, thank you so much, Tamara. My name is Tracy Beloy. I'm also co-founder at Atari. I am a chartered accountant. I have experience in asset management, insurance, and I love working with SMEs. And that's why we have founded Atari.
Awesome. Sounds amazing, guys. Thank you so much for being on this show. So, Tracy, could you please tell me a little bit more about who Atari is and what exactly do y'all do?
So Atari is an ecosystem that we have built that supports SMEs in the South African context and hopefully in the future in the African and global context. We utilize a lot of technologies in our solutions in order to empower and make businesses more effective and efficient. We typically go into businesses and implement different interventions, whether it be through growing their network and access to market, as well as growing their sales pipeline. And we also help them with their financials and getting a bit more savvy around how to deal with the financials and to just build a strong and successful business.
Awesome. And what do you believe is your unique selling point? Jason, I'm not sure if you'd like to touch on this.
Yes, thank you. So I think as Trace mentioned, for us, it's really about enabling and empowering SMEs to grow and to scale, as well as to be operationally resilient and efficient. And I think the crux of that for us is really identifying the need of the SME and implementing an integrated technology solution that allows, especially owner-managed SMEs, to make their business more efficient and also free up time to enable them to grow. And I think aside from that, we've seen as a business that, in the new age of technology and specifically post-COVID, that there's a significant importance in relying on technology solutions that add value at the SME level. So for us, I think that's one very unique area that we focus on. And I think aside from that, being a company that focuses on technology for us, we've identified that really it's a crucial element of our business to remain personal with our clients. I think a lot of what we do is relationship based. We see as Atari the relationship with our SMEs as a partnership, and really we're an extension of their business to provide that level of support on an ongoing basis. I think all of us are entrepreneurs in our own right, and we've all been through the process of starting up a business and trying to grow a business. And I think the challenge there is that often one feels unsupported, and it's very difficult to find support as a new business, going forward into the growth phase. And for us, it's really being about, providing that support, providing that skills development and mentorship, but most importantly, providing the technology solutions that enable that process.
Awesome. Like what you're saying right now, like I can totally relate to as a startup myself. So I am definitely joining Atari. So like when I first came across your website, like the first thing that jumped out at me was financial inclusion. And I'm not sure if this was intentional or anything like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if it was, what does financial inclusion mean for Atari? And what do you think the first step businesses can take in order to work towards a more financial inclusive South Africa?
So to answer your question, definitely it was intentional. Some background, Atari is actually a Swahili word meaning impact. So we were very deliberate as a co-founding team to put that forward in our name and in everything that we do. It's very much woven into the DNA of who we are as Atari. So if I had to summarize financial inclusion in one word, I'd probably use the word access. So there's a lot of things that precede a transaction in order to make money and make a profit. And that's where we come in, so as an entrepreneur, you'd like to start a business, or you've started a business, but you just don't know how to get to that next level. So that's where we come in. We empower people. We gave them access to markets through our own network and our own clients that we can actually, be the collaborative thread that runs through all our clients, as well as giving them access to ability to get funding. So we work with our clients to get them ready to, submit an application for funding, because most of our clients actually don't even know how to get funded. So it's access to market, access to funding, access to skills development. So we do a lot of mentorship and coaching with our clients. And we believe that through that ecosystem, we actually then empower them to actually be part of the ecosystem in South Africa to actually transact.
Yeah, and I think, to add on to that, and something that's quite interesting to us, especially in the South African context, is that really a large proportion of the South African SME market is the informal market. And I think for us, financial inclusion is also about realizing and bringing to the fore the fact that the informal sector is, a rapidly growing sector. It's a severely under-supported sector. And, with the boots on the ground and the work that we've done in some of these informal sectors, we've found that there's a substantial amount of really good businesses, businesses that can scale, businesses that have high growth potential. And I guess the sad reality in South Africa at the moment is that the informal sector is almost viewed through a lens of, I guess, a lack of opportunity, and really the morale and things around the informal sector is fairly low. And for us, it's really about recognizing that, in fact, the informal sector plays a major role in creating and fostering a growing SME market. And so for us, financial inclusion extends to giving opportunity and access to the informal sector, but providing them with the support that they need. And I think, as Trace touched on, which is very important to us, is and something that we've really focused on coming out of COVID, is how we can enable collaboration and co-creation across these markets. So how can we enable collaboration between the formal and the informal markets? How can we enable collaboration, amongst informal businesses? Because at the end of the day, through collaboration, we can enable, these businesses to access bigger opportunities, to access better opportunities, and ultimately to become more formalized over a period of time. And I think that kind of, loops back very nicely to our, intention as a business, which is to leverage technology to enable that resilience, professionalize these businesses, and prepare them to grow.
Awesome. Just a quick touch upon what you just said, Jason. You mentioned that you supporting informal businesses. So imagine some informal business owners watching this right now. Why should they want to join Atari? What are those things, the actual benefits that they'll get, besides just telling them, okay, you're going to get access to market? What does access to market mean? What does, gaining help from Atari actually mean?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. I think I'd like to start by saying that for us, it's less about trying to set up, what we've seen and coined as the service provider customer type of relationship. For us, it's more about creating meaningful partnerships and relationships. So I think the first point I'd like to make is that for us, providing the access to our services for the informal market is the starting point. And really, for us as social entrepreneurs, it's important that at the outset, we make ourselves available, we make ourselves seen, we make ourselves accessible to informal businesses. And that ranges from, everything that Tracy touched on, from even just mentoring and training around, some of the fundamentals around starting a business, building a business, everything from, how you set the business up, how you structure it, right through to banking your business and creating processes and procedures that are resilient. So a good example of that, for an informal business would be, how do you position the business in a way that, should a market shock like COVID occur, can that business, in essence, survive a market shock of that nature? And really for us, it's less about product specifically, and more about being that shoulder to lean on, and that business to lean on as an informal business, to guide them and help them navigate some of these challenges. And I think that, to me, is the starting point, because really, what we've seen is that, even at the starting point, there's almost a gap in not just, I guess, knowledge and understanding, but also a gap in support. So it's for us to be, to answer your question, it's for us to be that support arm as an extension of their business and as a partner to their business, and then really to be able to walk a long-term journey with them and help them with the different elements of their growth along the way, whether it be through funding, whether it be through professionalizing their business, or even, some of the anxieties around building a business and having to hire people, for example. There's a lot of key, anxieties that, any entrepreneur faces along the way. And by fostering these long-term partnerships and relationships, we become that reliable, team member and extension of their business to be able to assist them through that process.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Yes. I just add something. So, what makes us unique is that we're entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. It's one thing to get advice from someone who doesn't know the hardship and the struggles. So we've walked that journey. We know what it's like. It's blood, sweat, and tears. And it's even sometimes so simple as sharing that journey with our client to say, we know what you're going through. We also had sleepless nights because we had similar issues. So being able to empathize goes a long way in building the relationship, like Jason alluded to. But also because we've been through it, we typically have done some things through trial and error. And we can also just recommend that to our clients. Whereas, certain people might be recommending certain advice, not having gone through the journey. So it's still trial and error, right? So I think that's where we're different, is that we've walked that journey.
Nice. Another thing that y'all also touched on a lot is giving these businesses access to technologies. But I want y'all to dive deeper into what exactly those technologies actually include.
Absolutely. So I think, when we started to identify how technology would be useful for SMEs, we started with identifying what the key functions of a business are in and around, the 5 areas we've identified being sales, marketing, service, finance, and operations. And so for us, it's really about, coming into a business and doing a needs analysis and identifying through those needs analyses how we can then implement a solution that covers those 5 key areas of a business. So everything from, putting in a cloud-based finance solution through to integrating that with a customer relationship management tool, as well as, for example, with our e-commerce clients, what e-commerce platform they utilize that can also integrate into the technology solution. And I think, the key word for us there is integration, because really the objective of the technology solutions is to drive efficiency and resilience. And, for the way we've identified to do that is to ensure that there is seamless integration so that these systems are talking to one another. And in doing so, enables the business to really scale and grow. So for us, it is about identifying the right technology solutions for the right client, and then coming in as an implementation partner at the front end to implement these solutions in an integrated way, and then post the implementation, training these clients on an ongoing basis to best utilize these solutions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Jason. Okay, another question that I wanted to ask is, in your opinion, what are some of the biggest challenges that African businesses have faced? And this is even prior to COVID-19. So, and how would Atari actually work on resolving those issues?
So I think we've done quite a lot of research, very extensive research actually in this space. And I mean, there's a number of issues that businesses face, mainly access to funding, business development, skills development, just general support in terms of how they run their businesses and operationally. And I think, you said before COVID, so those were issues and those still remain. But I think one of the new issues, due to COVID, a lot of businesses are trying to go digital. But I think from our standpoint as Atari, we don't do technology for technology's sake, right? So the whole point of technology is to become more resilient and to be more efficient and effective, and to get the entrepreneur not to be in the business, but be on the business and directing, the strategy and the growth. So for us, that's really how we see things getting better in the future, is by unlocking that ability for the entrepreneur to run the business. Then they can focus on, getting the funding, getting the skills development, getting the right people working inside the business to grow the business.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, just one last question for you. So here at Alaking Creators, we make use of a framework called the 5-1. So we encourage all of our clients to choose one product or solution, market it to one customer avatar through one traffic source using one conversion method, and doing all of that for 1 year. So how would Atari apply this framework to the business if you had to?
Yeah, I think that's a great question as well. And I think, before I dive into the answer there, the challenge for any business really is to try and make sense of what this means. I think, we're the first to admit that this is not necessarily our area of expertise. But what I would say is that, we've spent a bit of time as a business trying to unpack what some of these things mean. And I think, we've been fortunate enough to be operating for just longer than a year now, and have tried a couple of different things. And I think just to attest to, this framework, really, I think it is a very valuable consideration for any business. And just to, we found throughout the process, just to be able to remain focused in the way that you access the market, I think is critical. So, before I dive into the answer, I just wanted to highlight that and perhaps share that as an experience that we've ourselves been through. I think in terms of just touching on the first one before I hand over to Trace, in terms of the one product or solution, I think we've really honed in on what it means to implement integrated technology solutions at SMEs, and how we then can support that implementation to enable growth in the business. So I think that really is, in one line, how we as Atari put forward our product or solution. Of course, there's a couple of spin-offs that come off the back of that in terms of support and skills development. But I think primarily, focusing on assisting SMEs by implementing integrated technology solutions at the start.
Yeah, and I think through that implementation, we've identified what our buyer personas are. So who are the people that actually utilize this, and what are their real pain points? And through that, we actually have discovered, the best way is to be personable, and that's how we deliver our service. So we come down to the SMEs level, we understand their problems, and that's how we implement, and that's how we believe it's going to be the most successful going into the future.
Awesome.
Definitely. So I think, our buyer persona, or our customer avatars, as we've mentioned, we typically looking at businesses, both formal and informal, in the SME markets, typically businesses that are somewhat owner managed or have a limitation around human resources, and usually businesses that could really, be impacted and enhanced through the implementation of technology. And I think, as Trace mentioned, in terms of the personal feel, I mean, this is, I guess, a point for all technology-enabled businesses or businesses that leverage technology, is really, how do you continue to bring that personal feel through to the service with the customer? And I think, primarily our conversion method is also centered around the objective for us to remain personal. And a lot of what we do is face-to-face meetings, meeting with the SMEs, understanding some of the emotional, psychological challenges that they faced with, especially in terms of making some of these big steps towards digitalization. And I think, generally that then extends to what we see as a greater community of SMEs. And typically that then leads to us, branching out to dependent businesses in those communities as a traffic source. And really then, applying the same approach to reaching out and actually coming to their businesses. And, our motto as a business is that we'll love your business as much as you do. We understand, as Tracy said, the blood, sweat, and tears that's gone into getting to where these businesses are today. So for us, it's very important that we do, come into the business, express our dedication to the business, and really be personable in that process.
Nice. I'm not sure if you would want to answer this question, but when you go onto the website, like it says, join the Hive. So what exactly do you get from joining the Hive? Like, it doesn't explain it like in depth. Okay, what are the next steps after you clicked OK? So do you mind sharing that?
Absolutely. So I think for us, what the Hive is it's a piece of technology that we've developed internally. And really, the technology is founded on the basis of competitive collaboration. And what that means for us is really creating an ecosystem of support for SMEs that is centered around enabling that collaboration that we spoke about earlier. So to put an example to this, how does a website developer and a content creator team up together to offer a service forward to a bigger contract, for example. So really the Hive is the start of every business person's day and the end of every business person's day. And it's an opportunity for SMEs to collaborate with one another. And I think, crucial to that, as well as Tracy mentioned, is really looking at features that solve what we've coined the SME dilemma, which is in and around access to funding, in and around access to skills development, and in and around access to collaboration opportunities. So really the Hive is an ecosystem that enables those access points. And I think crucially to the Hive is really enabling businesses as well to be funded and to achieve funding. So I think that gives a bit of an overview of what the Hive is. We are pre-launch at this stage. And I think the opportunity on the website to sign up there is really to be one of the first movers in terms of that ecosystem, and to be one of the beneficiaries of the Hive value proposition as we look to launch in early 2021.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing that. Jason, Tracy, I don't want to take too much more of your time. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we close up today's show?
I was just going to say that, just from my perspective, I think, we've come out of a difficult time as entrepreneurs, and also, as a country in general. And I think, for me, what's really important is, for us as a country and as businesses to continue pushing, to really, remain resilient throughout the process. It's never easy, but at the same time, I think as businesses and as entrepreneurs, we also need to recognize that we're all going through this together. So really, it's for us to pull together, to lean on one another, and to really share our experiences going forward, because at the end of the day, in collaborating either through business or even through experience, I think we're going to come out the other side a lot stronger for it. And I think as a country and as entrepreneurs, a lot more resilient.
Nice.
Yeah,
thank you.
My parting shot is just to never give up. So to all the entrepreneurs watching this, never give up. What you're seeking is seeking you, and the help that you require is also out there. So never give up, reach out. You never know. The worst you can get is a no. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much to you and Atharii for joining the show. I truly hope that my audience will appreciate this as well. Cheers for now.
Thanks so much, Mara. Thank you.